Good.
Yeah, get ready.
Can't wait.
6 Eastern FS1. Last year, the Eagles ran for almost 130 yards a game, Brew. Good for 8th most in the league. Eagles GM Howie Roseman talked about their running attack and newest star back, Saquon Barkley. Take a listen.
There's risk in every decision you make, but we don't think there's any risk on the talent. We don't think there's any risk on the person. And we also feel like, maybe not that it wasn't anywhere else, but maybe we have a good situation here with us in Philly to kind of maximize him.
Okay. Brew, can Saquon get Philly over the hump?
I'm not ready to predict the Super Bowl, but I think this was a great move for Philadelphia. And they have had good running back production, right? Miles Sanders, DeAndre Swift. But Saquon is on a whole nother level. That just shows that they're an organization that had a great offensive line and has a good running attack, like Baltimore. Like Cleveland, when they lost Nick Chubb, they still kept churning out great yards on the ground. But Saquon's on another level. He's never been in a good situation. He's never had, by the time he got there, Eli was last year, I believe. So he's had no great quarterback play. He's had really no great receivers that the defense had to focus on. So all their focus could be on Saquon, and he still put up a good number of production. I think this is a lot like Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey, somewhat injury prone, kind of like Saquon. And people you knew how talented he was, but he hadn't been in a great situation. He goes to San Francisco where they got all these weapons you have to pay attention to, and now we see he's better than we even thought he was. And I think the same thing can happen to Saquon because those receivers, that tight end, that quarterback, that offensive line, like you're going to have to pay attention.
Nick can't just help himself. He's just waiting. He just wants to say something negative about the Eagles so badly. But everything Brew is saying is 100% spot on. 100% spot on. And Christian McCaffrey example is a perfect example of that. Perfect.
Attention to so much. And Saquon can catch out the backfield too.
True.
So I think it was a good move.
Listen, I think I agree with a lot of kind of the big picture ideas you said there. Where I'll disagree is on these fronts. One is, I do not think Saquon Barkley is in the class that Christian McCaffrey is. I think Saquon Barkley was one of the best college football players of his generation at that position and was awesome as a rookie. And since then, whether it's just the injuries, whether it's the bad offensive line, whatever it is, even last year where he was mostly healthy, he was less productive than DeAndre Swift. Now,
Well,
Oh my God. Guys, a running back can only do so much when when the defense doesn't have to worry about anyone else on the offense. When you have no quarterback, when you have no O-line, when you have no other wide receivers. Like, what are you talking about? Seriously, what are you talking about? Did Patrick Mahomes' numbers go down this past season? Yes or no? The answer is yes. Now, why does Nick think that? Because he didn't have any weapons, because he didn't have much going on. That matters. Football is not an individual sport. Saquon Barkley is an unbelievable back. Unbelievable, okay? So this idea that he only had a great rookie year and then after that he's just suddenly not good is insane. Yes, he got injured and he got banged up. That's not the problem here. He is with the Giants, who are a terrible team, with either a backup quarterback as their starting quarterback or a backup of a backup of a backup called Johnny Cutlets or whatever the heck his name is. Jimmy Cutlets, Joey Cutlets, whatever. This idea is absurd. Their offense has been a disaster to the point where a lot of people saw Brian Daboll as this great, offensive mind that they're even questioning him, which I don't question him. I think it's just a personnel issue, who's actually on the roster. I think you can only do so much with Daniel Jones. But this idea that Saquon's not good and you're going to hold his feet to the fire because of what the Giants have done. It's not like he didn't play well and he was with the Kansas City Chiefs or he was with the 49ers. So, it's just an absurd take. It's truly an absurd take. Do you think Patrick Mahomes' numbers would go down if he was starting for the Carolina Panthers this season? Yeah, the answer is yes. They would go down. But I guess, Mahomes is just not that good of a quarterback anymore. All because he rolled his ankle a couple seasons ago.
I understand the circumstances that you're bringing up. But I think with McCaffrey is on a team with all these great offensive weapons, and he's the best player on that offense, or except for Trent Williams, the best of the skill position guys. I don't think that is the case with Saquon at all. I think that A.J. Brown's better than him. I think Devontae Smith's better than him. And my concern for the Eagles, one of my many concerns is, I am not going to overlook the loss of Jason Kelce. We can't talk about this guy being in the discussion for the best center ever, certainly of his generation, about how people talk about how his athleticism, his leadership, his intelligence, all those things it did for them, and that they're not going to miss a beat.
He is so inconsistent. Now I think the fact that he wants to call himself Mr. Consistency is just a joke to everyone and a smack in the face. Because I reviewed a video, I guess last week maybe at this point, where he literally said about Jason Kelce's brother, you may have heard of him, Travis Kelce. He said what makes Travis Kelce special is not his athleticism or freak. It's all these skill sets that can be learned, that can be taught. And so he said, I can't wait for the Chiefs. They drafted a tight end, and now Travis Kelce will be able to help him and teach him. The whole thing about Jason Kelce is not that he's an athletic freak. He's not a 9-foot gorilla monster. He's built like lots of other football players are built. What makes him special is his work ethic, his leadership, things that can be taught. The Eagles literally have his replacement. They had him. They wanted Jason Kelce to stick around. Sirianni had to convince him, apparently, so he can continue to pass the torch. So it's insane. He says that it's okay for Travis Kelce, who is considered to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, tight end, which is comparable to what we're saying about Jason Kelce. But apparently, Travis Kelce can teach the wisdom and can help the Chiefs not miss a beat once Travis Kelce's gone. But for the Eagles, nope, it's a disaster. Nope, Jason Kelce's gone. They'll never do it again. And again, like I said in a previous video, as Nick just keeps wanting to bash the Eagles for whatever reason, the reality is that Jason Kelce didn't just leave the Eagles. He retired. He didn't go to another team. He didn't say, screw this, I'm out of here. That would be an indicator of bad things to come. It was just that he doesn't have anything left in the tank. And he has these beautiful little girls who are growing up behind, before his eyes. He's missing a lot. He wants to do that. His wife wanted him to retire. His wife wanted him to hang it up. Like it's more of more that he's just ran out of gas and a family, decision. So he's still going to be around Philly. He's still going to be within the organization. So he's still going to be a contributor in different ways, of course. But make no mistake about it. Like the Eagles are not just like blown away that Kelce just randomly left. This wasn't a shock to them. They knew the end was near, and they did exactly what Philly always does. They always have a backup plan. They did this with Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. And before that, they did it with Nick Foles. And before that, they had Nick Foles ready to replace, Vic. Like they always understand really better than most teams that these players can leave at any moment, and they always have that parachute to pull. They always do. So this idea that the Eagles are just like, oh my God, what do we do? Jason Kelce's gone. What are we going to do? That's not where the Eagles are at. Not at all. So it's just absurd. And they fortified their offense even more with other weapons, which then helps the offensive line. It helps everything. Sheesh.
I also, and you mentioned this, I didn't look at Philly last year as a team that like, oh man, what they need is a better running game. So how much better is Saquon going to be than what they got from Swift? I don't know.
We didn't look at San Francisco like that before they got McCaffrey. They had Mostert. They had some good running backs.
That is correct, right? And if Saquon can be McCaffrey, then it's an unbelievable move. I don't think Saquon has
need to be McCaffrey.
A great back since his first season. Now, if that's all injury and circumstance related, then he'll have a chance to prove it this year. But even if it were injury and circumstance related, we're now talking about a back going into the latter half of the first decade in his career, going into year 7. I think there's real concerns. I think there's legitimate concerns about what a 28-year-old running back with that injury history is going to be. And so it's a big swing by them. It's one that I think we were both surprised at the price they paid, the contract he got in this market, and it's just not where I thought they had their needs. And so,
But they got their needs.
In the
Exactly.
draft.
They got the other players that they needed. It's one thing if they didn't do anything but get Saquon. And in the draft, they're like, we don't need anyone. You guys can just take our draft picks. We don't care. Like, that's what he's acting like. He's acting like that the Eagles are the exact same team, but they just added Saquon. That they didn't add any of these other pieces. It's a straw man argument. It's not an actual real argument. He goes, that's not what they needed. It certainly helps. It takes some of the pressure off of Jalen Hurts. Okay, so this idea that that's all the Eagles did is just doesn't make any sense. So if you want to make the argument that Saquon Barkley can't get Philly over the hump, I'm fine with that. But you better give me actual legitimate reasons rather than playing the shell game and talking about Jason Kelce retiring and that they still need these other things. They did those other things. And yes, Saquon Barkley is an upgrade at running back. And it's asinine to think otherwise. Okay? He is a big, strong, physical back that will be able to succeed in Philadelphia. No question. He's also a leader. And a great person to have in the locker room. And the exact type of player that the Eagles always look to get. And he's passionate, he's excited, he's hungry, he wants to be there, he believes, he chose the Eagles. So those are all positives. So I outside of Nick feeling threatened or whatever, like I don't understand why he loves to hate on the Eagles. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It really, really doesn't. Like, I don't know if he does it just because he's, he wants to try to win over the Dallas Cowboys fans. I feel like that's probably what he does because he's very strategic who he, criticizes and who he praises. And obviously the Chiefs are his team. And so that's also helps grow his own fan base. And then he also always wants to say positive things about the Dallas Cowboys because they have a massive fan base. And if you're going to have all the Dallas Cowboys fans on your side, then he's going to hate on the Eagles because by hating on the Eagles, you get to build up your more Dallas Cowboys fans as well. So it's just, again, he hasn't given any valid points as to why the Eagles have not improved. And it's just, in a previous video, he said that he thinks that the Eagles were one of the worst teams ended the season as one of the worst teams last season. And he sees no reason why they won't continue that trend, which is just an insane statement to make. So it's hard to call him, I hate just calling people a hater when they don't say something positive about the team that you like. People call me a hater all the time, and it's like, what are you talking about? I've literally went on a whole rant of how much I love this one team and yada, 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 but I just said that I don't think that they can beat this other team, and that automatically makes me a hater. That's not what Nick is doing right here. Nick is just, no matter what you present to him, he's like, nope, 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 nope. And it's like, all right, well, now you are just being the definition of a hater. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys think? Do you think Barkley can get Philly over the hump? And do you think there was any risk with signing him? Or do you agree with everything Nick Wright has said, which would just be insane? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.